In the past few weeks on Dragon Ball Super, we've seen Goku compete using Super Saiyan Blue against opponents that are seemingly significantly weaker than him, including Android 17 and Krillin, and this has led to many people blowing a complete gasket over the, I guess, power scaling or whatever you want to call it in Dragon Ball Super. Some people have gone so far as to say that Super Saiyan Blue is now nerfed and not as strong as we initially thought. Then there's other people who have their own theories about what this form could be. And I've seen a lot of videos pop up in the last few days with their theory. Now, the reality of the situation, no matter which way you slice it, is that the anime of Dragon Ball Super has not given us a clear-cut definition about Super Saiyan Blue, and thus we have to fill in the holes with our own theories. And one such theory that I've been looking at lately that's been addressed by a couple people is what's being called the water tank formula, the WTF theory that's supposed to explain Super Saiyan Blue. But does it really? On this video, I'm going to address why the water tank theory is somewhat plausible, but ultimately falls apart based on what Super's telling us. Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content I provide here on Geekdom 101, don't forget to hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications so that you get every video right to your device, and thank you so much. Now, before I begin the discussion, I just want to state that we're talking about Super Saiyan Blue in the anime, not in the manga, alright? So, don't get it twisted. The manga version's slightly different, the way Toyotawa wrote the form and its flaws and whatnot. We're talking about just the anime, which unfortunately is way more cryptic. Now, the first time I had heard about the Shark Tank theory was a video that was done by Anime Live Reactions, which was apparently inspired by another YouTuber named the SSJ4 guy, who I just discovered recently, and I kind of like him, so check him out. I'm going to leave a link to his video and Anime Live Reactions videos down below in the description so you guys can see what they're talking about and their side of the story. And supposedly, like, some guy on Discord said that he invented it. I really don't know. It doesn't matter who came up with the theory. There are truths in this theory, but there's also a lot of things that are completely contradicted by Dragon Ball Super, and as a result of that, it just does not hold up. No matter which way you slice it, it doesn't hold up, and part of the blame for this goes to Toei for leaving everything so much in the dark for us to figure out on our own. But what I'm going to give you with this video is I'm going to give you straight facts, straight logic from the series itself, so that you see how the Shark Tank theory kind of does fall apart. Now, the Shark Tank theory, to summarize it as best I can, states that Super Saiyan 1, 2, and 3, the original golden hair transformations, are essentially, for lack of a better term, multipliers. And there's truth to this as well. When you go SS1 to 50 times multiplier, it's doubled that again for SS2, and then again times 4 for SS3 from SS2. That's all documented from the original guidebooks. There's nothing that contradicts that necessarily, even though I personally feel like the SS3 multiplier seems to be a bit low. But that's my opinion. The thing about the guidebooks, guys, is that Toriyama did have influence in the guidebooks, but we don't know exactly how much he had. The only time Toriyama ever confirmed a multiplier when it came to these transformations is with Super Saiyan 1. That's one that came out of his mouth. So, like with everything Dragon Ball, it's really up to you to determine whether or not you accept it. Now, moving forward with the Super Saiyan Blue water tank formula, to summarize it as best I can, as simple as I can, the theory is that Super Saiyan Blue gives you a much higher level of ki control than the other three transformations. Now, there is truth to this, and I do agree with this part of the theory based on what Whis was telling Goku and Vegeta during their training. He was telling them to take their energy and keep it inside of them internally to bring out when necessary. So there is truth to this in the series. And this would also explain why Goku's fights with Krillin and 17 went the way they did, because Goku was heavily suppressing his energy during those fights. During his fights with Krillin in 17, Goku was not going all out. I'm not going to even make a ballpark figure as to how much power he was using, but you could tell that he was suppressing his energy during those fights. So Blue does give you an opportunity to suppress your energy. There is truth to that. You can't even question it. And that is all based on very simple power scaling. Very, very simple power scaling. In Dragon Ball, Master Roshi, whom we know had a confirmed power level of 139. 139 is what his power level was measured at in early DBZ, was able to blow up a moon, right, with the Kamehameha. This was in early Dragon Ball. Fast forward to DBZ, Frieza in his first form at 530,000 power level was able to blow up Planet Vegeta with one finger very casually. These characters for many, many years have been able to destroy entire planets at will. That's not even a over-exaggeration. They can do it extremely easy. So the argument that's being set forward here is that Super Saiyan Blue gives you more ki control than the yellow-haired forms, and that's completely logically infallible because we know that Goku was able to raffle stomp Frieza in Super Saiyan, and that's back in the Namek arc. That's not even including the multipliers that he got from subsequent transformations like SS2 and SS3. That's not including the fact that him and Cell had this great epic fight, and him and Boo. Just scale it up very simply. And I'm not a power scaler, but it's logic. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out. Scale it up. Goku, by the time we get to the end of Z, forget Super for just a moment. By the time we get to the end of Z, blowing up a planet should be... Bro, Goku could freaking lift up his pinky and blow up a planet during that part of the series. So because of that, we know that Goku has suppressed his energy for a very, very long time, because if he didn't, there's no way that he could function and live a normal life with that kind of power. You just can't do it. Goku would blow up an entire bathroom when he's taking a hard shit. I mean, it just has to be suppressed. He has to control himself. He's not pulling from his ki reserves. So the idea of Blue being the only form that's suppressed, that is completely out the window. You just can't say that, especially when Goku and Gohan went into the Room of Spirit and Time and came out with full power Super Saiyan, which was the most controlled, the most ki controlled form we had seen up until that point. And from there, you upgrade from that form to Super Saiyan 2, which from everything we've read has no flaws. SS2 has absolutely no flaws, no stamina issues like SS3, no time limit like Super Saiyan God. It's just always going to work and work properly. That's how Super Saiyan 2 works. So if anything, Super Saiyan 2 could be seen as a predecessor to Blue when it comes to it being the perfect form to use for combat purposes. SSJ4 guy addresses this in his video when he talks about how Goku and Gohan were destroying household items and how they were having trouble suppressing their energy in the full powered form. But I feel he is underestimating just how much suppression goes on with these characters as far as power goes in their day-to-day lives. It's constant. If Piccolo at the beginning of DBZ can blow up the moon by flicking his wrist and shooting a very small looking, not so powerful energy blast at it, again, very hard to believe that these guys at this point in the series couldn't literally flick a finger and do the same thing. Now, SSJ4 guy would go on to say that Super Saiyan is triggered by anger, by aggression, by passion, and that's all true. There's nothing wrong with that statement whatsoever. And the fact is that most of what he says in his video is accurate and makes sense theoretically. And if you want me to be brutally honest with you, the water tank formula, whether he invented it or the Discord guy or Old Pie, it doesn't even matter, would make perfect sense if it wasn't for Dragon Ball Super continuously using the previous forms. You can sit there and say that Super Saiyan Yellow, or whatever you want to call it, is triggered by rage and anger, but we see Goku and Vegeta both use that transformation during the Universe 6 tournament as a predecessor to Super Saiyan Blue. And when they use these forms, they're not angry, they're not raged out, they're just fighting very calmly. They are calm, cool, and collected. So that theory's somewhat out the window there. So if Dragon Ball Super had never shown Goku using prior forms to Blue, this theory would be absolutely perfect, but we see it, and we don't just see it there, we see it in subsequent parts of the series. We see Goku constantly go from Super Saiyan Gold to Blue, from Gold to Blue. We saw it in several different fights with several different opponents throughout Super. If Blue only offered ki control and not superior power, why would Goku not just use Blue from the onset? Why would he start with Gold and later on with Blue? Not to mention that we've also seen during the Future Trunks arc and some other episodes, Goku use Super Saiyan 3. To this day, I cannot give you a logical explanation as to why Goku would even use that form ever again when he's got these higher powers and higher, stronger forms. So at the end of the day, the mystery is still there and the series has not explained it yet, but the reason why the water tank formula falls apart is that Goku is constantly going from yellow to blue. We've seen Goku jump from base to Super Saiyan Blue many times, so it's not like he needs that to be like an intermediary form. We've seen Goku jump from form to form with ease. The water tank theory states that both transformations hold the same amount of total ki. That makes no sense, because if that were the case, then why didn't Goku just use Super Saiyan 1 against Golden Frieza? In fact, if you go back to that film, you hear the explanation from Goku, which was pretty much taken from the Resurrection F guidebook that Toriyama wrote notes in, where Goku says that Super Saiyan Blue, or back then it was called Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, is basically Super Saiyan God with the power of a Super Saiyan. So it's whatever power Goku had as a Super Saiyan God in addition to the power of a Super Saiyan. And that statement is literally the only concrete explanation that we can go by given to us in the series. Everything else is just theory, and actually when you look at that statement, it further validates the fact that Blue is not just a transformation that has better ki control, it's actually a much more powerful transformation than Super Saiyan by a significant margin, because if it wasn't, why would Goku upgrade himself from base to yellow to blue? There's no question that Blue is more powerful. So then the question is, does it provide more ki control than Super Saiyan? And the answer to that is no, because we've seen Goku suppress himself throughout the entirety of the series multiple times in multiple transformations, and thus if Super Saiyan 1 were a transformation that was purely based on rage and anger, maybe when you first get the form, but not with subsequent transformations and training, there would be literally no reason for him to ever use that form again. And if he didn't, then yes, the water tank formula actually does work, but the problem is we see him use these lower forms often, frequently, so it has to be based on power. Now the question is, why would Goku use Super Saiyan Blue against 17 and Krillin? Well, the answer I'm going to give you, you may not like it, but it's the best possible answer that there is. He has to use Blue because he has to use Blue. What I mean by that is 17 and Krillin at this point in the series have surpassed regular gold-haired Super Saiyan Goku. Now that might be a hard nut to swallow, and it might be something that, to be honest, is lazy writing in my opinion. I think that the writing is a little bit weak here, and I think it's just being done to kind of scale the old side characters back to being prominent again, but there's no question that that is the reason. So do you accept that? That's up to you, not up to me. But that's the facts being presented, is that Toei's writing of the series makes them make 17 and Krillin stronger so they can compete in this upcoming Tournament of Might. And is the Super Saiyan Blue that Goku is using a suppressed version? Yes. Is Goku going all out when he fought Krillin in 17? No. Goku himself even said so. So, of course, Goku at max power, and I'm not even talking about Kaioken, at max power or even at half power, again, that's my theory, not something they actually said, could probably raffle stomp Krillin in 17, but he had to suppress his energy significantly, and that much is true. That part of the water tank theory I definitely agree with, without question, that Goku is able to control his ki well in Blue, but you can't say it's the only form that Goku's been able to do this in, because there are numerous examples of him doing it previously, and you can't say that you have the same power with yellow and with blue. yes, there is no defined blue multiplier, and there may never be one released or revealed, but you can't say that the multiplier for blue isn't stronger than yellow, because if it wasn't, there would be no reason for Goku to ever switch between yellow to blue. Like, why would you upgrade to that form if it wasn't more powerful? Also, Super Saiyan Blue is more of a strategic form, that I do agree with, but I think that's also in part to Goku just being a better fighter now than he was when he was younger. Bottom line, guys, is Goku has always been able to suppress his power, because if he couldn't, then he would just be destroying planets just by him stretching in the morning, because of how powerful he got deeper into DBZ, not even counting Super. So the idea of the water tank theory, I like it, I really do, but Super and the fact that Goku always uses blue as a last resort tells me that it is about power, not so much ki control, because Goku has been controlling his ki for many, many years. I will leave links to both anime live reactions and SSJ4 guys videos on the subject, so you can check those out. And let me know what you think down below. This is a very complicated argument. It's a very complex situation. And really, Dragon Ball Super has made it very difficult for people like us to do our jobs when it comes to this kind of writing. People like Seth the Programmer have trouble scaling the show. They do it, but it's always difficult because the show doesn't make it easy. Same thing with MJ, same thing with Mike, same thing with SSJ4 guy, and same thing with ALR. It's just difficult to explain these things because the show does not give us enough of an explanation, and there are contradictions. So there you go. But this is why I think the water tank theory, even though I like it, does fall apart. Let me know what you think, and I thank you so very much for watching this video. It really means a lot to me. Punch the subscribe button if you haven't, like it if you did like it, and I really want to read the comments. I'm probably going to do a follow-up reading you guys' comments most likely and seeing what the community thinks. Thank you so very much, and if you liked the video and you want more, here's more.